Hey guys, and welcome back to another of one of Vendal's weekly arcade quest tutorials. So this week, we're featuring pretty much, oh you guessed it, the Vortiger. So the Vortiger is not only the newest hero, but is the only hero that you'll be fighting in this week's weekly arcade quest. There's a few other cool things that are happening right now though, before we start talking about the Black Prior. And that is, the arcade quest actually has some new effects that are available in it. I'm not sure what all is available from it, but I know after completing this quest, I earned some pink plasma shock effects, which I thought was kind of interesting, though let's be honest, I'm probably not going to use them anytime soon on any of my characters. Pink is not really my favorite color. But anyways, okay, separating ourselves from my favorite color, let's talk about the Black Prior. So Black Prior's a mess to deal with. He's a little bit broken right now. He's got a few things that he really shouldn't be able to do, some guaranteed damages that are kind of BS. But that being said, you can still get through these arcade fights with perseverance and with a little bit of proper use of your modifiers and understanding the AI system. So the quest is called Favete Linguis, and it's a little bit of a history lesson on the For Honor version of the Vortiger. Now, as far as character choice goes, I want to talk just briefly about this. I use and show off the Aramusha in the video. However, I just want to say I do not think the Aramusha is the best choice here. Your full block stance is almost entirely useless against this guy because of how many bashes and unblockables he's going to be opening with. So I really can't recommend the Aramusha, but that is what I managed to clear it with, just because he still has swift attacks that allow you to exploit a few of your modifiers during the fight. I would recommend someone that has a dodge attack, so that you can actually hurt him when he slings out his bashes and you manage to successfully dodge. Also, I want to apologize for not getting this video out Thursday night like I normally do. I was a little bit frustrated with the Vortiger and just needed some time to cool down before actually doing my voiceover. So that should tell you something about how difficult this quest is. But anyways, with that, let's get into it. Good luck, and, well, have fun trying to fight and figure out the Vortiger. So the first segment is Palor Mortis. This is interesting. I'm actually really happy that they did this because it's kind of the training wheels for the whole rest of this arcade quest. You're up against the Vortiger. Neither of you have any modifiers. He's just a level 3 AI. So you get to see what they're capable of and try to work your way around his kit. I recommend just playing this fight quite a few times until maybe you've succeeded like 3 times before actually moving on to the remaining fights, because this fight is where you essentially learn how to deal with the Vortiger. So Vortiger immediately opens up with a lot of bashes and a lot of unique feints that tie him into some guaranteed attacks and strikes and other things like that. Dodging isn't even necessarily safe on him because a lot of times he reacts fast enough to get things on you. Additionally, the tactic of stunning and then going for heavies that usually works extremely well on AIs does not work against this Vortiger. The reasoning for this is simply he can overcome with that ultimate block regardless of what you do, because he only has to react to timing on what attack you're using when using his ultimate super block. Also note that although you may try to be honorable, this Vortiger is not honorable, and therefore you need to stay away from the spikes or the pits because he will try to put you in them if you give him the chance. So when it comes time for you to try to finish this fight and just move on to the rest after you've gotten enough practice, you can use one of those to just speed your way through the fight and cheap shot him into either a fall or into the spikes. Do note that this AI level 3 Vortiger seems to me to be more offensive and tricky than the one in the training arena. I spent some time with one in the training arena and was surprised that I had a slight easier time scoring kills on the one in the training arena than this one. That may have been just because of the situation in this fight, I'm not really sure. But anyways, push your way through it, take the time to practice here, and see for yourself what actually works up against this Vortiger. Alright, Phase 2, Algor Mortis. This puts us up against 2 Vortigers now. Gives us a unique advantage with how the map's designed that makes me think it's still honorable to use the traps on the field. and puts you up against two that can hassle you in very different ways. So first up, talking about us, we have a regenerative shield, so that means we should try to back out of combat and let it occur and proc occasionally, and we also have knockback. One of our opponents has mild knockback, as well as stamina draining, and the other one has high hit points and is uninterruptible. The stamina draining I had more trouble with actually just because his out of stamina pressure is so good. So the key to this portion of the fight is really paying attention to your stamina and trying hard to avoid the bashes, because if you get hit by them at all, you're going to be out of stamina and then having some serious issues. Now at your advantage is your knockback attack. Because of all the different bear traps on the field, you can utilize that knockback, although I don't do a very good job in this success video, to get them put into the traps so that you could actually take them out while they're stunned. Additionally, against the second one, who has uninterruptible, these traps are especially effective because uninterruptible applies to them trying to break their way out of the trap as well, and you actually can stack on extra damage while they're trying to find their way out of the bear trap. When it comes time to dealing with this first one though, like said, the biggest key besides getting him into bear traps, if you choose to go that route, is just really paying careful attention to your stamina and then handling him exactly like you do the first Vortiger. The second one's a little different. Uninterruptible interacts interestingly with most AIs because they will try to get the attacks in while tanking attacks themselves. This actually works out well for you because you have that shield that regenerates, so you can occasionally trade blows with them when your shield's up. Again, that's not something I do a good job of in this success video, but it is a tactic that I saw a lot of success with in repeated attempts that I didn't record. It's also interesting because I find uninterruptible is normally one of the scariest modifiers to deal with on a bot, but for the Vortiger, actually it's not that bad because a lot of his bashes come out quick anyways, that it just doesn't add too much to what he or she is actually capable of. But push your way through it and treat it again like you did with the very first Vortiger, and you should be able to come out on top. Alright, so phase 3 is Rigor Mortis. So during this one, we have at our advantage, we drain hit points from attacks, and we're uninterruptible. This is massively important because it allows us to deal with the Vortiger in a way different from how we normally would. One of them inflicts bleed, one of them does high block damage, and one of them just does damage in general. The one that does high damage and high bleed are the most dangerous because of how our uninterruptible allows us to play out this fight. Additionally, there are a few things to be aware of. When you do overcome this first one, as I'm showing here, do not run down and try to take out the Vortiger that's slightly closer on the right, because you will attract the attention of the other Vortiger on the left and be dealing with them both at the same time. Now, people have talked about this already on forums, but Vortiger is a very strong gank tool because of his abilities to just do that ultimate counter while being protected by a friend if he messes it up, or alternatively, some of his controls and easy to bring out bashes. It makes him a real nightmare to deal with. I attempted, I don't know, maybe about 5 times to fight both of them at the same time just because I wanted to see if it was possible to turn things against them, and you get bashed into oblivion every single time. Every single time. So the real way to handle this fight is using your uninterruptible modifier and the fact that you gain hit points from attacks. You don't really have to care too much about getting hit, at least not as much as usual. So when they bring out attacks, rather than trying to parry the attack from a different direction, let your uninterruptible stance do the work for you and just finish out the strike, taking some damage but also healing as a consequence as well. This is the safest way to go about it. Occasionally eke in a little extra damage on the side because that'll allow you to keep your health in a good state, but that's essentially all there is to it. You'll see this against all 3 of the people that I fight here. This Vortiger, again, the trick is you let him attack first. The moment he opens up an attack, if it's a bash, you need to dodge. If it's not a bash, just eat the attack and hit him through your uninterruptible stance. That's about the safest thing you can do. As usual, your ability to feint into guard breaks does still work fairly well as it would against any other AI, so that's something that you can try to utilize too, to occasionally either wall splat or throw them on the ground when they're out of stamina. Also, note, because of how revenge works, if you stayed locked onto enemies for the entire duration of the fight, you'll be able to maintain your revenge that you've gained from all these one-on-ones, 1v1s during the course of the fight. So if you hurry from one fight to the next, you'll be able to gather, you'll be able to gain revenge to use during the final fight. And this is another tactic that can help you secure the win. And since you are fighting your way through 3 of them, I also feel like getting revenge is a very, very valid way to do the fight honorably. So the final phase is Livor Mortis. Unlike in phase 1 and 2, where there are some ways to cheese your way through the fight, this one you have to take entirely straight up the way it is. We're left with just absolutely no modifiers up against a beast of a Black Prior that has improved health pool, a massive starting shield, and does higher damage the more hit points he loses. This is actually really interesting to me because this is like the definition of a Dark Knight's playstyle. High hit points, he gains more berserking blood powers the more damage he does, and well, he has a big shield, which is completely fitting. Now, given this is a little scary to deal with right at the beginning, but there are a few things that we do have at our advantage as long as we can control them. And that is very namely the boost points that are behind us and in front of us. There's a health pool for regen to the back, and there's a attack booster up at the front that both respawn fairly quickly. Alright, so for this first segment, we're going to be showing you guys a little bit of some failures, and this is primarily because the Vortiger has a lot of things he can take advantage of, or a lot of exploits or just bash tricks that guarantee him a little bit too much damage right now, and I just kind of wanted to point some of those out and showcase some of them. Some of those things are the fact that if he ever manages to get you out of stamina, you're in a really bad place because he can guarantee like 40 damage on you just by throwing out a single light. This is not fun. However, that's not the only thing that he has at his advantage. He's also a little bit harder to escape from most people. I'm normally pretty good with my rules, and I'll admit that I didn't set them up perfectly here, but when you're dealing with the Vortiger, because he can quickly move into some of his undodgeable attacks, he has a very easy time of following up on you when you try to escape combat by rolling away. Unless you time it perfectly and are directly moving away from him, he's often going to take you out. Alright, so now let's talk about the actual tactics that you should employ to win the fight. First off, control of the 2 boost points. You want to make sure that you're always the one getting the attack boost, and as soon as possible, when you can grab it, grab the regen boost when you need it, so that you can heal up health and increase your overall hit point cap for the fight. Handling him, when he does his unblockables, his undodgeables, learn to parry those. They're one of the easiest moves from him to parry actually because of how slow they are. Additionally, your feint game is actually fairly successful against him, if you manage to actually just switch up what sides you're attacking from. He doesn't seem to overuse his full block stance. Also, Vortiger's charging zone attack that he does there when running from combat is really predictable and easy to parry. And you can actually predictably make him use it by staying decently close to him while running across to the other side of the field and then turning around while still holding down the dash button. It will, generally speaking, make him try to do his sprint attack against you to keep up. Always play it safe. Even though he's at low health here, certainly if he managed to get one of his bash combos on me while I was out of stamina, he could have brought me entirely down. And so you want to continue to be careful regardless of how much health he has left. Pace yourself and you will get through the fight. So with this, I wanted to talk a little bit about just my final thoughts on the Vortiger. So the Vortiger's a beast, definitely so. There's a few gimmicky things that he can do that are a little bit broken right now, in my opinion. I want to wait to see how players manage to pull him off before calling for any nerfs, but there are some things I immediately want changed. I witnessed this myself during the fight with him as an AI, but also you'll witness it when playing with people via PvP. If he's in revenge or if he gets you out of stamina, he can get pretty much 40 guaranteed damage on you anytime with very little you can do about it. Essentially, if you block one of his lights, the recovery that occurs because you're out of stamina guarantees him his bash and another 20 damage. Also, if he manages to get his counterattack on you, he can guarantee not only the counterattack, but the bash and the other attack afterwards as well, which makes him kind of nonsense. Also, his little super shield thing, I do not like the fact that it protects him against supposedly drop kills and other things of that sort, like feats. I haven't actually personally seen this play out, but I just think that's a poor choice. Still, he is definitely a cool character. I do like what they've given him as far as his kit goes, but he is frustrating to deal with, and I wish you all good luck. And remember, your modifiers modify your playstyle.